Hello, class. This is Tuesday, October 20th. This is Latin 101 and Professor Barbara Wyman. And y'all are working on your test one over Chapter 2. So I'm going to go ahead and post the grammar and explanation for Chapter 3. And you all can be looking at that when you finish your test. Chapter 3 is a good chapter because it doesn't give too much new grammar. It just sort of goes over the grammar we've already covered, so it's a good review. This is a super fun myth from Ovid, Minerva and Arachne. Minerva is the Roman name for the goddess Athena. So Athena and Minerva are the same goddess. Athena, as you know, is the goddess of war and the Parthenon in Athens. Athens is named for Athena. The Parthenon is her temple in Athens. Her Roman name is Minerva or Minerva. The Romans adopted the Greek gods and just changed their name from Greek to Latin. So anyway, the story of Minerva and Arachne is an origin myth. It tells where the arachnid comes from. So Arachne is a maiden, and she's eventually going to be turned into a spider. So on page 18 is the story of Minerva and Arachne, and Arachne is going to get changed into a spider because she has hubris, false pride. So that's the Latin story that y'all are going to translate. And it's fun. So to get started, let's turn to page 20 on the vocab. And on chapter 3, the nouns are now going to be listed in their traditional way, which is the nominative form, and then this form right here is the genitive ending. So agricola, agricolae, okay? So that portion is given to you, and we'll look at a declension review in just a second. But that's the genitive singular, nominative singular, genitive singular. So an agricola is a farmer, where we get agriculture. A lot of the words have the same root. The English cognates the related word. Okay, so Arachne, that's a Greek name. Actually, it doesn't have a Latin cognate, but she's Arachne, a maiden. Casa, casai, casa mañana. The Spanish word casa comes from the Latin word casa, because Latin was first and the Romance languages derived from Latin. So casa. Dea, that's the feminine form since it ends in A, so that's a goddess. So Minerva is a dea. Discipuli, that's the plural form. I don't know why Norma gives just the plural form right now, but that is the name for students. It's where the word disciples comes from. So the disciples of Christ were the students of Christ. Incola, that's an inhabitant. That means that's the noun inhabitant. Incola, incolae. Lana, lanai. Lana is the word for wool or spinning. The word lanolin that comes from sheep. The sheep wool have lanolin in it. That's a really lubricating part of lotions. If you look on the back, it has lanolin in it. It comes from that word lana. Lydia is just a country. Magister and magistra. So magister, that's where we get the word magistrate. That's where we get the word magisterium. Like the Catholic Church has the magisterium. It's the teacher or the teaching branch of something is the magistrate, or magister is the masculine form of teacher. Magistra is the feminine form. So I'm the magistra, the feminine teacher. Minerva Minerva, that's Athena. We just talked about her. Nympha, nymphs are mythological characters. They're young girls, or they're girls, fully mature girls. They're the female creatures that and many of them there's tree nymphs and wood nymphs and pond nymphs and river nymphs and ocean nymphs and rock nymphs. Nymphs are everywhere. So those are mythological girl creatures. Pictura, pictori. But you know what a pictura is? It's a picture. Sapientia, sapientiae, that's the noun, wisdom, okay? So Homo sapiens, thinking man, Homo sapiens, has the same root as sapientia for wisdom. Silva, silva, that's the noun for forest, silva, and vita is the noun for life. So we know a lot of cognates for vita, vital, vitamin, okay, life. Now on the verbs, we still don't have a full conjugation of the verbs. We now have third person singular, clamat, and then third person plural, clamat. Clamat means to exclaim or shout. He, she, or it exclaims or shouts. They. So remember the pronoun ideas in the ending. So T means he, she, or it. NT means they. Dot and dot. He, she, or it gives. They give. Doket. He, she, or it teaches. They teach. Format. He, she, or it forms. They form. Glomerat. He, she, or it. It winds into a ball. Kind of a wild verb. They wind into a ball. But that's where we get the word conglomerate. A bunch of businesses rolled into a ball, if you would. So glomerat, glomerant. Laborat. That one's easy because of the cognate labor. That means he, she, or it works. They work. Laudat. He, she, or it praises. They praise. Laudat. Salve. Salvete. That's the singular greeting, and that's the plural greeting. Our 1 week of school, we learned that. Boo-hoo-hoo. Greetings. Hello or hail. So if you have the salve is the church way of saying it, salve regina. Salve is the classical Latin way to say it. And then vale or vale would be the classical, the church way of saying it. That just means farewell. So when someone is a valedictorian, they're giving the farewell speech. Vale. That's where the word valedictory speech comes from. The word dic is to speak. So valedictore means the farewell speech. These are adjectives. Perita means skillful. And superba means proud, because Arachne is going to be proud. These are adverbs, other words. Bene, that means well, she works well. Certe means surely. And dum plus present indicative, that just means present tense, means while. So while she works, dum. May is the same in Latin as it is in English. It means me, except you say may, may. Okay, up at the top of the page, we have quid, quod, quoque. What, because, and also. So quid means what, quod means because, and quoque means also. That's a fun word, quoque, quoque. Saipe means often. And te means you. Tibi means to you, dative. I give to you the reward. Tibi, indirect object. Okay, so parts of speech. This is on page 21, Chapter 3, Parts of Speech. The parts of speech in Latin are the same as English, and this says, see page 418. In this book, there is a nice little appendix page that goes over your parts of speech on page 418. So if you need a little review on parts of speech, you can look at that. A noun. So we're learning about nouns, the first declension, noun to teach person, place, or thing, etc. And in Latin, nouns have gender, masculine, feminine, or neuter. And we're going to learn a little bit about that along the way. Nouns have case, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. So this page 418 is a nice overview. Okay, a pronoun, we have adjective, articles, an and the. Those don't appear in Latin, as you know. A verb, an adverb, preposition, a conjunction, and then an interjection. So if you need polishing up on your parts of speech, this is a very good page 418, Appendix A. Okay, back to the chapter. So we have already learned everything in section 18. Y'all can read that again if you want. Inflection just means the ending of the word is how you tell the use of the word in the sentence. So we've learned about an AM ending. AM ending means direct object, so that's the inflection. So the proud maidens, plural, they do not praise Minerva. So we know that that's plural because of the AE and nominative, and that's accusative. Those are the endings, so that's the inflection. And so the inflections of a noun are called declensions. The inflections of the verbs are called conjugations. So we're going to learn a whole conjugation next chapter, but right now we're working on our declensions. So you can read this little recap about nouns. We've already learned that, so that's a little refresher, nice little refresher. Turn the page 22. This is just more refresher, and here's a nice overview of all the cases. Okay, we've been talking about the cases. We've learned nominative, we've learned accusative, and we learned ablative. We worked with that. We got genitive last chapter, which shows possession. That's a little bit tricky one. So here are all the cases, and it gives you an example of how they work. Okay, so read over that. The book is really good at explaining. So you can just mark out section 20. It goes over all the declensions, but it's not a very helpful chart. It's kind of confusing, so just mark through it and skip it. We don't really need that right now. And here is a first declension, all decline for you. So y'all have already done that a couple of times. We've been practicing with the declensions, even though we haven't gotten the meanings of the cases yet. So here are the endings: A, AE, AE, ARUM, AE, IS, AM, AS, AIS. So y'all should be having those memorized, hopefully, on a little index card. Getting us ready for 102. And more just review of what we've already learned about verbs. Section 22, agreement of noun and adjective. We've already done that too. The adjective that modifies the noun has the same ending. So that's est silva magna. It is a big forest in insula pulchra, in a beautiful island, or on a beautiful island. So it's nominative, and that's ablative. They have to match. Command forms. We're not going to learn how to form them yet, but that's just like in English. You can have a command. So you can say, ama, love, or amate, y'all love, labora, work, laborate, y'all work. So there are singular and plural commands depending on if you're talking to one person or a bunch of people. So I would tell one person, ama, to love, and tell a whole class to amate. So I would say, amate linguam Latinam, love Latin language. Labora means to work. So the Benedictines had, their motto was ora et labora, work and pray. Those are commands, the imperative. And that is all the grammar of chapter 3. So you can see this is just a nice refresher chapter. And I think your homework is to do part of this translation. So 15-minute YouTube video. Let me just read over this for you. Minerva est dea sapientiae. She is the goddess of wisdom, genitive. Est dea lanae, quoque. Arachne est puella. Est puella perita in lana. Remember to look for your prepositional phrases, and that'll be the ablative. Picteros pulchros in textile format. So remember, Latin word order is flexible. So these are the first words, but those are accusative endings. So she forms what? She forms picteros pulchros. Minerva cum deis in Olympo habitat. Arachne in casa parva in Lydia habitat. There's a mosquito biting me. Mosquitoes are really bad today. Sorry. Arachne est superba quod picteros pulchros format. Arachne is proud because format pulchros picteros, direct object. Saipe nymphae silvae. So silvae is a noun. It's not an adjective. So this isn't forest nymphs. It's nymphs of the forest, genitive. Spectant, nt, they watch. Dum puella perita lanam, am, that's accusative, glomerat, et picteros, as, in textile, it's making me dizzy, format. Picteri sunt pulchri. Pictures equal pulchri. Picteri fabulas de vita agricolarum, so that's genitive plural, regarding the life of the farmers, et de vita incolarum, life of the inhabitants. Of Lydia, another genitive, narrant, they tell. Nymphae picteros, puellae amant, nt, they love, et puellam, am, accusative, laudant. So remember, if the word comes first, doesn't mean it's the subject. It could be the direct object. Laudant puellam. Deam, direct object. Deam quoque, laudant et clamant. Quis est magistra tibi. Certe Minerva picteros, direct object, et fabulas tibi dot. Surely Minerva gives you stories and pictures. Laborate, okay, we learned this chapter 1, that any, when it's hooked onto a verb, turns it into a question. So laborate means he, she, or it works. If it's laborate, does he, she, or it work? So does Arachne work well? Quod est perita? Puella bene non laborat quod est perita, bene laborat quod Minerva est magistra. Minerva te bene docet. So the nymphs are going to tell Arachne that she needs to give honor to Minerva, because if Arachne is weaving well, that means Minerva has given her those skills. But Arachne isn't going to listen because she's rash. But she's going to get a smackdown. That's the way all these stories are. Minerva's going to try to warn her. She's not going to listen, and this is what's going to happen to her. All right, that's all for this lesson.